Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Friday. It's August 8th. It's been a great trading week. What looked like we may not have much at all going on today. We've had some pretty good moves here. Um, really, since about 9:30, it started moving. It got kind of hung up again here. There's really probably a measured move between this. This should probably be more of a midline here. We'll just make it a little. But I'm guessing this little range here, I didn't even measure it, but I would be willing to bet that we've got a little bit of a, and you see it, it's a perfect, basically a perfect measured move. So, and I'll explain how I'll talk about this a little bit in here. I get a lot of questions. I'm going to do a chart lesson on the short-term trend lines, but they're a little bit more finite or finite, depending on how you want to pronounce that. Here's my target right here. I've actually got two targets. My first target is that's your first move up, so based on this move it should be similar. Then your first leg up is here, and so I've got a secondary target up there. This line right here was important support and resistance back a day or so ago. You can see where it was support and resistance, and prices are kind of working both sides of it. So that's why I had that line there. I figured it would probably create a little resistance, and it did. We got on through it. So, and we're right at my first target. Let's see if we're going to get my second one. This thing is really rallying now. I wish I'd have held on to my runners, but I exited them here and decided to go ahead and start the chart lesson. But now I wish I'd have held them. But you can't let that bother you. You know, you've heard me say that before. Don't look back, because if you do, it'll just cause you to make a mistake next time. So as much as I wish I would have held my runners, I still got most of that move up there and was able to get through by lunchtime today and have another good trading day. And actually that was some gravy I added on there, because I was pretty much already done until I saw that setup. I couldn't resist that little failed second entry short there. And we'll talk about that when we get there. But early on, about a little around 6 o'clock. I was in early today, so let's see what time these trades were. That one's at 6:54. I was feeling better today. I went to bed early, so I got in here a little bit early. So that was the first trade I saw, and it's just a double bottom with the reversal bar right off a clear trend line that's been tested all the way up here. I went back and forth whether or not to make that one green. It is a first entry, but it's similar to a two-legged. It's close enough to be a two-legged pullback to the EMA. I liked it. I took it, so I marked it. There's another one right here. And again, now you've got let me get this out of the way. You've got your move up, a first entry short, a little bit of a correction, then a second entry short. It fails and turns up. It went out the bottom first, so just have a stop right there. It's kind of close to the top, so again, I went back and forth, but this has been a clear trend all the way up. There's still not a close. The odds are we're going to get a new high. This is a strong trend right here. Turns out it's ending there, but this is a strong trend right here, and so I like that one. It made me a little nervous on this bar right here, but it pushed on through, and it did that right here. It made me a little nervous on my runners, but it pushed on through. Um, and it looks like we're heading for my other target here. Man, this was a nice move up. Real nice move up. So hopefully some of you are trading that as I'm doing the video. I hope so. But had those two trades, and then we started correcting here. It was tempting to go long right here, but that's an inside bar. It's a doji. There's not much rejection off the EMAs. If you drew your trend line, you know, there's no break of that yet. So just sit tight and wait on a better entry. And it does go lower and continues to go lower. And then we finally get a little break. I don't think you could go short here because there's all that support right there. And you see it. That's what created the bounce. So I was afraid it would tick down and reverse. And it almost did. And it's tempting to go long right there on that trap. But look at those dojis stacking up there. And if you did get caught on that one, when it touched that EMA and started backing up again, I probably would have exited that. And in fact, I like going short there. figuring that we're going to get another push down. And that's exactly what happened, because that's really a nice trap there. I know that trapped a lot of people, because normally, I mean, I was thinking myself, I want to go long right here. I want to go long right here. But let me make this a little bit larger. When this bar closed as a doji, that you don't want to go long above a doji, and this is just one tick away from being a doji. It didn't close on its high, and so if you went long above that one, and then when this one ended the same way, that's your clue. Get out with a tick or two. Um, Something's not right, because it should have bounced. It should have taken on off. The other reason I didn't really like that one was because we were below the EMA, and we kept closing. We kept trying to get above it here, and we couldn't. Uh, so it's real flat right there. And so this is kind of like a trading range. There's if you didn't have this trend line working down, you did have a break and a new low, so there's some reasons to be thinking long there. So if you went long there, hopefully you didn't get tripped up too bad. It's not a great setup, but aggressive traders probably going to take that trade with that little trap down here. But all it turned out to be was a short trap, and I liked it to the, once you didn't go to the upside, that's a good clue that we're probably going to make the move down to the next level, which at that point was really down here. I kind of moved this up as we got a little more price action. But at that point, my closes were down here, so you had plenty of room there. And again, I moved this up a little later. And then now you got your break and a couple of legs down. You're getting a bounce here. You pull back. The reason I like this bar, it scared me. Again, it was a little bit spooky, but it turned down first and then turned up and broke out the upside. So I just had my stop there waiting on it. And when it turned back down right here, it made me a little bit nervous. And if it probably would have come and broke below that line, I probably would have went ahead and exited it. But that's not uncommon for you to get a little second entry. So you might have even thought about entering there, but it didn't continue on like I expected it to. Usually when you get that breakout and it heads higher, and this thing will take off, kind of like it did right here. Notice how it broke lower and then turned up. It still pulled back, but it went on pretty quickly, and this one didn't. It hesitated, and then more people, and what I think happens is there's just not enough people that recognize that it's reversing yet, or they don't have enough confidence in it, so they're going to wait. And then when they see that next little move down and it opens up, then they go on. So there's another entry there, but I don't like it as much as I do this one. You don't get, and again, if this one would have closed even with that bar, I wouldn't have taken it at all. Maybe if it closed right on its high, but even then I probably wouldn't have. But it's the fact that it went lower. It takes a lot of work for a bar to turn lower and turn and go all the way up and out the other side. That takes some buying pressure. And then when it turns down, all they did was trap some people and get that little momentum to push it up, and it goes right back up to that last little area right there. And notice too that now you got this one moving up, and this is the first break, and notice it doesn't get down there, and you get a nice reversal bar. So I like that aggressively to see it come back to new high. That's exactly what it did. I mean, the rules are coming through perfectly there. And then it starts working down. You get your break here, a couple of legs to a new low, and you get this trap down here. Aggressive traders probably going to take it right there. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that one green. I wanted to take that trade really badly, and I talked myself out of it because we moved through there. Everything's there to tell you to go long. It's aggressive though, because it's the first entry. I'll teach you to wait on the second entry, and it came right there. Just go long right there and look at it go. Best move of the day. And there's a failed second entry short there, but you've already moved so far, and look how far away it's moved before it's come back to the EMA. It's past time, so you see it comes back, and then it goes higher. I just don't like those entries that are unless the market's moving like this right here, where it's staying away from the EMA. I don't like those entries that are real far away from the EMA like that. So I hope that makes sense. But that's the reason I didn't mark that one. And you see it 1, 2, it might have worked. Let me just see. I don't like it though. 19, 12 and a quarter. Ah, look, it's a 4-tick failure. So this is one of those where if you take it, if you use a limit order, you're fine. But I don't even like that one with a limit order. It's just too big a move already. Um, Unless this thing's fixing to run away again, it's time for a correction. And to break out of, I mean, there was some serious resistance right across here, so you're going to probably come back and test it a couple of times before you get a move forward. So I hope that's clear. And then right here, notice you get a breakout, move to a new low, and then you get another little move down. It fails, it turns, and there it is again. It goes right out. It went out the low side first. I like going long right there. It's right off the trend line. I really like that one. Even if you waited till here, it's a big move up, and so it takes a huge stop. So safety stop. So you're better off to use a limit order. And if I remember correctly, it did break higher and pull back. So you probably could have gotten filled a couple of ticks back into that. I didn't like the second entry long here because it's so close to this midline. And you may hit that and turn down again, which you did. You actually pushed through it a little bit, but it turns back down. And I got some questions about this area right here, or maybe it was this area. Actually, it was this area right here. And you can see that's just congestion. And what happens? It fails out the bottom, breaks out the top, and fails. Maybe it was right here where I got the questions. And, I mean, all that is a small trading range. And you don't want to ride a breakout of that unless you're in some kind of runaway trend, which we're not at this point. It's been choppy and rangy looking up until this move up. And I would be looking for a measured move similar to this one, which you see we got there. And so that's real dangerous going long right into that high right there. And you see what happens is it fails, and you get this little channel working down, you get a break, and you actually get a first entry long, pull back a second entry long, and it fails. So aggressive traders probably going to ride that. It's not very far to the low though, so it's aggressive, but aggressive traders probably going to like that trap, and it moves on down. But that one's real aggressive. It didn't, it's not a real bearish bar, although when it trades way up like that and then comes down and almost trades on its low, if this bar would have went straight below, I would have liked it better. But when it held there for that bar too, that's, you got 3 overlapping bars, at least one's a doji, that's congestion. So it's a little risky, but you're looking for that new low, and you did get it. And then this was the trade of the day. Now you got a new low, it's bouncing down here. It couldn't even close anywhere near where it closed previously. And it pulls back. First entry short, turns up, pulls back again, a second entry short, and then turns, and there it is again. It breaks out the low side, and then I just had a stop waiting right there. It breaks out the high side, and boom, off it goes. And that's the trade of the day, and it's still going. And I've got a target, a possible target of here. We've met the first target and surpassed it actually. So we may get this next target, we may not. We'll just have to wait and see. And there may even be a bigger pattern in here that I haven't even looked at, but we haven't needed it. But maybe there's a bigger pattern here. Let's just see. And if you put that right off the top, guess where that matches up with that measured move? I mean, don't ask me why this stuff works, but I call it market geometry. But anybody tells you that there's no geometry in the market, don't listen to them, because there is. I can show you this stuff over and over and over, and I can show you how to find that target there long before prices, after those first 2 swings there. Once it got confirmed right here, I could show you how that's a possible target. Actually, I could show you from here how that's a possible target. But once you get this line here and drag it up, and there's probably a midline in there, and if that fits really well, then you really know something's going on. And there it is. It just doesn't get any clearer than that. And so there's definitely a market geometry. And I don't understand why it does it, but it does it, and that's all that matters. We found it. We've learned how to capitalize on it. We've learned how to spot it and to use it to our advantage, and we do that. And you really need to have your short-term trend line going up on this little move right here. Which is probably going to be more. That could be it right there. That looks pretty good right there. And so I'm guessing that's going to be the short term. Let's just see how it fits on the upper side. I'm guessing that's probably going to be it right there. We'll see what that ends up doing. I got so many lines on here, this thing's really hard to see now. So let's lighten that one a little bit. And of course you had this short term one working up with the break and the move to a new high. But let's get this out of the way here. And we'll just lighten this one as well. You don't want to get so many lines on your chart that it confuses you. And so, a lot of times you won't see all these lines and I'll re-add them afterwards. Of course, I didn't even look for the bigger channel because you didn't need it. It helps now to see it because it gives you even more confidence that we're probably headed to this upper side here somewhere. But, I didn't even see it previously. There's no doubt this trend line is pretty good right here. And this midline looks like it's doing its job too. So we'll see if this ends up being the high of the day. It might be right along there, so to speak. And that would push this one down a little bit lower. So we'll just see what happens. I'm going to use the target there and just see if how that works out. But really good trading day. Market struggled to get through it. Yesterday we kind of went into something like this and it sold off. Today we went into something like this and it went higher. And the market's it loves to do that to you. Show you one look 2 or 3 days in a row and get you locked in on that, and then you try to, and so that's why you got to read it and go where it's going and not try to guess and, hoping it does the same thing it did the previous day. So I hope that makes sense. But I wanted to show this on the other guy sent me a chart. I just wanted to put his chart up. I still have it here. All right, here's his chart. And you can see where he got tripped up right here. And notice how we just barely moved above that, and then you got the overlap. And it is a failed second entry short, but and it does bounce right off his trend line. But let me see where that is on my chart. It looks totally different on my chart. That's around a little after 8 o'clock, between 8 and 8:30 on his chart. So I'm guessing that's going to be between 10 and 10:30. So that's going to probably be this move right here. Let me open this chart again. Yeah, that's going to be, this is going to be the move right here that he saw. And you can see on my chart, it doesn't look nearly as good as it did on his. It looks better on his chart. I've got a real bearish bar and a reversal with the second entry short was right here on mine, so you had to break above here for it to trigger on mine, and it doesn't. And I guess you get a failed second entry short off the high, and that's the way he was. No, he's counting it off the low because it's just the first entry off his right here. And there's a failed second entry here, but I don't like that one for the reason I talked, because this is just a trading range. Look at those lows, look at those highs. It failed out the bottom, it broke out the top and failed, got back in, failed out the top again, failed out the bottom, and finally moved on. And that's typical of what happens in a trading range. And so, unless you're in a runaway trend, you can't be going long that close into the high. So now let's put his chart back up there now that we've compared it to mine. And you can see he's still got one, two, three overlapping bars. At least one's a doji. And he does get that little break lower and it turns up. But look, you're going long right into that out of congestion. And so as tempting as it is, and I actually was tempted to go long right in there somewhere, but it wasn't the same spot where he went long. Yeah, it was right here. I was tempted to go long right there because it's right off my trend line, but notice how it's going into that. And if you measure this move up, we're right there at it. So it, it's just not a good place to be going long. Sometimes you have to fight that impulse to take every trade, but and when it broke higher and got hung there, I was like really glad that I didn't go long. And unlike him, he ended up taking it. And I don't always, sometimes I'm like that too. I fight it and then I take the trade and I say, why did I do that? But I don't do it as much as I used to because I've learned my lesson. So hopefully that helps with that. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, somebody asked me about the short-term trend lines, and I am going to do a chart lesson on them, but just understand that they're a lot more, um, they're a lot tighter. Generally, they're right off of the closes. Notice how I drew those right off the closes, and then you finally get a little break, then another break, move to a new low, and look how I'm drawing those right off the closes. You get the break, move to a new high, and then I'm drawing them off the closes right across here. And, try to get them to fit both sides. So they should fit both sides. And notice how by dragging this down, it's fitting right across the bottom pretty well, too. It might actually be just a tad lower there. Really fits better right there. We just kind of overshot it a few times. And that's a good signal that the market might be. And this stuff drawing these lines, it's like everything else I talk about. With experience, you'll get better at it. I've been doing this for a long time. And I didn't always draw the short-term trend lines. I only learned that in the last couple of years, how important they were. Because I'd be too early a lot of times. And I'd figure out, I started drawing the lines, and that kept me from being early. Okay, had a short interruption there, but that's pretty much going to do it for today. That was all. I want to show you one other thing, just to end on a positive note. Gentleman sent me this. Just to show you that other people do this and do well at it. This was his results for today. Looks like he took 14 trades. He went long, had one loser long, and made all his money on the shorts. So, and he sent me this by 9:30 my time. So by 9:30 this morning, he had made basically $1,700, and 13 winners, one loser. That was his daily take, and he also sent me his weekly take. So we'll just look at it too. You can see he made over $1,000 every day this week. And he's basically doing exactly what we're doing. I will say that he adds his own twist to a couple of things, but in the end, he's getting there. He's getting to the same place we are, just slightly different. And I prefer to get there my way. Not saying his way is wrong, but I'm not going to change what I'm doing because it works for me. And I tell him the same thing: don't change what you're doing because it works for you. So. Doesn't mean that I'm encouraging you to change things either, though, because, we've got a proven way to do it. But once you get to where you can do this, if you notice something that works, use it. Okay, I had a slight interruption there, but we were pretty much done anyway. good trading day. Didn't look like it was going to start out that way. It was a little iffy um, until I would say 9:30, and then it got a little rangy looking again, and then we've moved on since then. So um, good trading day, good week really. Hope you had a good trading day. Hope you had a good week. And these are days where you'll hear me say it over and over. You just got to be patient and draw those short-term trend lines. And you can't be looking to enter on every bar. You can't enter in congestion like this. Um, draw those short-term trend lines, and even going up here, there's a short-term trend line, and then you'd have flat ones here, and you don't want to trade inside that trading range. Again, the gentleman that sent me his chart, it didn't look quite as the same as mine. It looked better than his, looked better than mine, but at the same time, it still was a range, and that's just the way it's going to be sometimes. Some charts are going to look a little different than others, but I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back to do it again next week. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and I'll see you next time.